Hello everyone. Today we are discussing chapter number 10, which is Introduction to Working Capital. This is a very lengthy chapter, a lot of theories involved, so I've decided to split the chapter into 2 or 3 different videos in order to explain every concept logically and in detail. Starting with the first topic, which is working capital. So, what is working capital? When we talk about working capital, it refers to the firm use of current asset and current liabilities, which impacts the firm's liquidity and efficiency. Remember that we are focusing on the current assets and current liabilities. There is no point of discussing any type of long-term assets or liabilities. Daily operating activities for any firm, the daily operating activities involves the inflows and the outflows, cash inflows and outflows. And the daily routine payments could be paying to the suppliers, paying salaries, wages, taxes, utility bills, and such activities. For small to medium sized corporation, working capital concept is very important, and fund position is made on daily basis in order to closely monitor the inflows and outflows. So logically speaking, working capital is composed of 3 different accounts payable, inventory, and account receivable. And by the formula, it's current asset minus current liabilities, which means that if your current assets are greater than your current obligations, then the firm is liquid enough to cover its obligations and the expenses. However, if the current liabilities are greater than current assets, then the company needs to understand there are some problem or some liquidity issue that needs to be addressed. Next is link between the cash and the working capital. How much the physical cash, the cash available in the bank accounts, impact the working capital. So we will be going through the different operating cash flow cycles, which are cash outflow, procure to pay, cash inflow, order to cash timeline, internal liquidity management, or external liquidity management. Remember these terminologies: procure to pay, order to cash, order to delivery. These will be used throughout the topic, and I was going through the 932 questions for exam preparation, and I've seen several questions in which these terminologies are used, and then there are options given to pick and choose which operating cash flow it relates to. So it is important to understand these concepts very clearly. The first one is cash outflow, which is procure to pay. Procure to pay means that you are procuring something against which a payment will be made. So it's related to disbursement. Cash inflow is order to cash timeline. An order has been received. You have to fulfill the order against which the cash proceeds will be received. So it's a cash inflow. It's collection. Internal liquidity management flow, or a concentration of fund. Now, most of us must be familiar with the term fund position, cash position. So it's about concentration of funds or pooling of funds. It could be a notional pooling, or it could be actual movement of funds into one concentration account of the firm from which the disbursements can be made. And the purpose of concentration of fund is to analyze the position to see if we have surplus funds available with us, or if we are deficit of the fund, or we need short-term borrowing. So the fourth point is related to external liquidity management flow. If the firm has excess cash available with them, it is important to invest that cash in some short-term secure investment. That could be a T-bill, a treasury bill. The reason is, instead of keeping the cash in account, earn an interest out of it. So you have investment, you have a source of income, and your funds can be easily converted into cash whenever required. In other case, if we don't have surplus funds available and we are short of funds, then the company has 2 options: either to redeem the investment, early mature the investment, and utilize that fund for the outflows, or the other option is to have access to short-term borrowing, running finance, or short term, any financing facility that is less than a year. There are a number of different facilities available, so arranging a short term debt is important to cover the current liabilities. Next, we will be discussing the cash flow timelines. Cash flow timeline is how quickly converting non-cash assets to cash assets. Non-cash assets are inventory or account receivables, for example, in this case, and how quickly they can be converted into cash to improve their liquidity position. So starting with procure to pay or purchase to pay. This is when you have made a payment for raw material, for the purchase of raw material, for the purchase of goods or services, and when actually your account was debited, when actually the payment was made from your account. This is procure to pay. This is actually when your fund position has shown an outflow. Order to delivery or forecast to fulfill. This is more about inventory management. When raw material was purchased and that raw material was converted into a finished good, and that finished good was sold out. So the whole circle shows order to delivery or forecast to fulfill that order. So the time period the inventory was on hold is also part of this process. Order to cash or customer to cash. When the actual sale was made and when the cash proceeds were received by the supplier. For example, in corporate world, most of the sales are on credit. So once that happens, account receivable increases and actual cash is not yet received. So account receivable is increased and cash is decreased. Once the actual proceeds are received, account receivable will decrease and cash will increase. Now you actually have the funds available for use. So this is order to cash or customer to cash, when the customer actually pays you for the sales that have been made by the supplier. Cash conversion cycle. This is another important concept. This is converting the outflow into inflow. Outflow happened when you paid for the raw materials. You made the payment initially for production of goods or services, and you till the time that was sold out and the cash inflows were generated. So this is cash conversion cycle. Outflow to inflow, cash flow outflow to cash flow inflow to the back to the firm. Now we will be referring to this concept. Let's talk about cash conversion cycle here. This time period, days payable are the days when the purchases were actually made and the payment was purchases of resources and actual payment was made. So this is basically days payable. You made the purchase and you paid for it. So these are the days payable. Then comes the days inventory. The purchase was made, resources were purchased, they were converted into finished good and they were sold out. Till this time period, these are the days inventories. Your non-cash items are created, and the time the sale was actually made and the sales against those sales were received back by the company. These are the days receivable, because most of the, as discussed earlier, most of the sales are made on the credit. So when according to the credit term, let's say it's 30 days from the point of sale, so these are counted as cash receivable. So here the cash outflow has begun and here the cash is received back. So this is outflow and this point is outflow and this point is inflow. And this whole process is known as cash conversion cycle. Now the next topic is, there's one more thing I would like to discuss over here. Procure to pay timeline, and the second concept is procure to pay timeline. The second concept is order to cash timeline. Procure to pay timeline. For example, if a corporation need to buy something, so they will look for different suppliers. They will opt for the best suppliers who has got the goods or services. They will negotiate the payment terms. In corporate world, it's most probably the credit arranged on like for 30 days. And then a purchase order is sent to the supplier. the supplier sends the goods and services back to the customer along with the invoice, and the customer makes the payment. Now this is the point where the working capital is made. The working capital is about accounts payable, inventory, and the account receivable. So when the payment is made, this is a working capital. The second one is order to cash. This is opposite to procure to pay, because in this case a customer has approached approaches different vendor, and then the different vendors quote different prices. So they select the one customer or approved customer, vendor, and then negotiate term sales. All the it's a two-way process, so negotiation takes place between the vendor and the customer, and they agree on some credit terms, and then the supplier will receive the pay order, and the supplier will ship the goods and services along with the invoice, and against which a customer will send the payment to the vendor. So here payment is received. This is now working capital. Once the payment was made and once the payment was received, this is part of working capital. Now there are different type of floats we will be talking about. What is a float? A float is any start and completion of different cash flow phases. For example, two of the most common floats are the collection float and the disbursement float. From collection float is from the seller's perspective. Seller is the one who is selling the goods or services. So the time float between the buyer initiates the payment and the seller receives it. The buyer, you have purchased something, buyer has made the payment against it, and you have received the payment. So this is the collection float. You have received the payment, collection, inflow. So mail float in that case is the one where further we will discussing about the mail float, processing float, and availability float from the seller's perspective and from the buyer's perspective. The only difference between the two float is the availability and the clearing float. So mail float is the time period, the time float between the buyer initiates the payment and the seller receives it.